Hi, everybody. Welcome. Welcome to the showcase of the Student Zine project. We are really excited to have you with us today, and students, we're really excited to showcase all of the hard work that you have done. To get us kind of kickstarted, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, and we're going to kind of go through the zine and each page on it and get started. So, our zine is called From Silence to Action. This is the Student Zine project. This is our first issue, so Volume 1, Issue 1. And I'm just going to briefly read a list of acknowledgments before Jordana reads the introduction. Holocaust Museum LA is proud to partner with the Milken Community School and Lenox Middle School for a community-based student zine project. This project would not be possible without educators Sarita Turk and Maria Saldana's work, partnership, mentorship, and dedication throughout the program. Special thanks to Wendy Ordwer for continued support and collaboration, as well as David Meyerhoff, Jocelyn Plant, and Wellington Andreas for their guidance and assistance. Holocaust Museum LA would like to thank our generous grant funders, the Max H. Gluck Foundation, for their continued support of the Share Our Stories program, which brings Holocaust education and art reflection to under-resourced schools throughout Los Angeles, and the Jewish Federation of Greater Los Angeles for their support in our Exploring Jewish History program that connects students with heritage, tradition, and history. This program was sponsored in part by a generous grant from the Max H. Gluck Foundation. And Jordana, our Vice President of Education and Exhibits, is going to read the introduction now.
I just want to say welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for being here and joining us for this unveiling, this presentation, to see the hard work that so many students put into this piece. I can just tell you that, as someone who's been working in this field for 10 years, as the granddaughter of Holocaust survivors, it feels so good to see students actually think critically about Holocaust history and its social relevancy, and then make connections with one another, with strangers, with elders in our community, with people we know, with people we don't know, form these bonds and really think about how we can work harder to create a better tomorrow. It's really, I think, so important to see this work as continuation and legacy of the founding Holocaust survivors of Holocaust Museum LA. As most of you probably know, Holocaust Museum LA was originally founded in 1961 by a group of Holocaust survivors who wanted to create a space not just to hold their precious artifacts or photographs and stories, but really to educate future generations. That education piece was so critical to them. And I know that the survivors in our community feel, a certain sense of comfort in knowing that the young leaders of tomorrow are taking their words, taking their wisdom, taking their experiences, and not just holding it, but doing something about it. And I really do think that From Silence to Action is demonstrative of everything I just said. And I'm so excited to hear the students share their pieces. I've been completely blown away by their work the last few months. When, we initially discussed having a program like this and partnering two schools together, we weren't sure how it would work, especially in the middle of a pandemic, but I can say that I think it just has been such a huge success, and it's a privilege to learn from these students, and it's a privilege to work with the teachers at these schools and to know that our work all together is really changing the world in which we live. So my greatest gratitude to everyone, and I'm really thrilled to hear the students share their work with us.
Thank you so much, Jordana. I just wanted to read a really brief introduction before we kind of go into the body of students' work. As you can see on the left page here, we have a list of all the contributors and the students that worked on this project. So community, students' perspectives. Students spent the last 5 months learning from peers, experts, teachers, and Holocaust survivors with the goal of building community. This zine stands to confront issues they see happening in their community today and educate in order to create a more dignified tomorrow. Their theme, From Silence to Action, uses both the lessons of Holocaust history as well as art and citizen journalism to promote education, awareness, and action. Students' work reflects on connections to issues facing society today, such as current racial justice movements, refugee immigration issues, women's rights, learning disorders, eating disorders, bullying, LGBTQ rights, gun control, human trafficking, climate change, Holocaust awareness and anti Semitism, and mental health awareness. The voices of students and elders are blended together in this publication in order to inspire, connect, and act. So now we're going to get into the body of students' work. Bridget, you are going to be the first student that is going to share. Go ahead and introduce yourself, and then you can go ahead and read your artist statement and talk about your work, please.
Hi, my name's Bridget Rivera. My topic is about women's rights, and my topic is mostly about rights. So the way it connects to the Holocaust is by the Jews having their rights taken away and disrespected. And my topic discusses about women not having equal rights as men and how they get treated unfairly like the Jews did. So my piece is a collage called Women Are Strong. There are sections of the collage that talk about different things. On the top left, it mainly focuses on Black trans women. On the bottom left, it talks about how women get paid less than men. The top right focuses on abortion, and being pro-choice. It's their body, their choice. The top right focuses on trans women and the need for people to recognize them as women. The top right also focuses on femicide happening in Mexico. Towards the middle, it focuses on women's safety, even though they take precautions. Throughout the collage, it focuses on LGBTQ rights and that all women are beautiful. It also focuses on how women and LGBTQ rights are human rights. The media I use to create the piece are I'm sorry, I can't really see that. Uh,
It's okay, don't
Media
worry,
I use
Bridget.
to create the piece are online pictures on Google Drawing. I started by painting the background black and then I added pictures and text. I highlighted the text in white so you could see it. I was inspired to make this piece because I am a woman of color. I want my voice to be heard. I, as a woman of color, want these topics to be talked about more. I feel that as a society, we don't talk about women's and LGBTQ rights enough. We know about them, but never really talk about them. The message I am trying to get across with this piece is women are strong. They go through so much because of how women are treated in society. Every single woman is so strong and they continue to be strong while a lot of bad things happen in the world. I hope my hopes for the future is that women have equal rights as men. Women have equal pay. Trans women are seen as women by all people. The femicide in Mexico stops. Women don't need to worry about what they're wearing. Society doesn't teach women to cover, but teaches men to control themselves and to respect women. Abortion is illegal. The LGBTQ community is given their basic human rights, and people don't try and take them away. By putting all these images together, I hope people can see that it's not just one problem, but many. Women's rights and LGBTQ rights are more than one topic that people need to see and be informed in. I will contribute for making it happen. Okay.
Thank you so much, Bridget. Thank you for sharing. Sammy, you are up next.
Okay, so my name is Samantha Sims, and the title of my poem is The Walls That Divide Us. I decided to focus on political divisiveness in the United States as my topic for this project. We have all encountered or seen political violence and hate in our lifetimes, especially in this past year, and it has begun to create a problem that many do not realize now, but could significantly change the country in this long term. Not only has our divisiveness delayed a lot of progress that could have been made in America, but it has also taught children that fighting with one another is considered a social norm. I believe that there is always room to compromise with people who believe differently than you, and that we have to truly listen to each other to begin to change our ways. This concept connects to what I have learned about the Holocaust because both of these topics have to do with ostracizing the quote unquote other. The hatred and fear between the groups in both scenarios is so strong that no one can stand to listen to each other, have empathy for one another, or consider the other group's sides. Leading up to and during the Holocaust, Hitler instilled fear and propaganda into the German people's minds, which eventually led most of them to truly believe that Jews, Gypsies, the disabled, and anyone else different from them were inferior and should be treated as such. In today's society, many have posted rude political remarks on social media. People have made comments, slogans, posters, and more that are extremely disrespectful to the opposite party. All of this hatred is being ingrained into young people's brains that not only is the other party terrible, but the people who belong to it as well. This no in between mindset is very detrimental to this country, and if we don't begin to try and change our ways now, many of the future leaders of this country won't know of a time where people from opposite parties could get along for the greater good. The walls that divide us. We wonder why something so naturally occurring can cause so much harm. It is in our nature to separate ourselves into groups, but that doesn't mean we cannot respect the other tribes. We have always tried to cling to our power in fear that our voices will be hushed, our minds ignored, our humanity condemned, when really, shutting out the other is what causes us to drift apart. Our country's history has sown the seeds of divisiveness into the soil of our society, their roots forever outward reaching and growing into fuels of hatred and violence. Back then, we lacked the empathy to see the other side, but did we give it a second thought? No. We thought of the present and not for the future, and look where it has gotten us. We've grown into what our fathers feared, a people so divided that democracy as a whole has started to suffer. Our vision is clouded in a fog of anger and accusation that is shutting out the light, and we have trained ourselves to see only what we want to see, even if it is not always the truth. The colors of our labels sink deep into our skin, putting up a wall that accepts some and turns away others. A mindset of no in-between has spread through our people like a perilous disease. It has been ingrained into each of our minds to avert ourselves from the opposite side. But what we must realize is that we need each other to truly grow. We can disagree, in fact, we should disagree, because diverse voices are what define a democracy. Our differences only enhance the attributes we share. The humanity that is within us outshines our anger, distrust, and fear. We are all equal human beings with equal voices and minds, and our beliefs shouldn't dictate our security and our rights in what is supposed to be the land of the free. We need to look towards the future of our nation. What started out as a safe place for the people who wanted a voice, for those who needed a home, for the ones who needed a chance, has slowly divided in two. Because to some, being right is more important than having rights for all. Children being raised in today's society need to know that this isn't normal, that such a thing as civil discourse exists, and that people with opposite beliefs can still come together for the greater good, because that is what this country was built on. If everyone thought the same way, there would be no room for anything new, no room for diversity, no room for progress. And even though it might be scary to think of having to come together with someone who believes differently than you, or someone who may have acted harshly in the past, we have to take action. We have to learn to love each other for our differences instead of resenting for it. We have to finally bring down the growing walls that divide us, because we belong to something greater than just a color or a party, for we are a people.
Thank you so much, Sammy. Tomer and Venus, you are up.
Hi, my name is Tomer Zor. I am in the 7th grade and I am a Milken student.
Hi, my name is Venus Felix. I'm an 8th grader and I go to Lenox Middle School.
The title of Venus and I's project is Tolerance. Our topic that we chose to write about is racism and actions that almost anyone can take to stop the social issue. We decided on this topic by making a compromise. I originally wanted the project to focus on a form of intolerance, and Venus wanted the project to focus on racism, so we met in the middle.
I thought that this was some way to go into the Holocaust because racism connects to the Holocaust because racism and anti-Semitism are both forms of intolerance, and anti-Semitism was the contributing factor for the Holocaust. Racism and the Holocaust both have created an immense amount of violence and hatred as well. Anti-Semitism is built on the same logic that racism is built on, and that logic is that one group of humans is superior to another.
So now I will read out me and Venus will read out our actual project that you can see up on screen. Racism is a form of intolerance and bullying that judges people based on the color of their skin. It is something that has always been a factor in society and is something that an immense amount of people are impacted by. Racism has taken many forms throughout our history, from slavery to segregation to police brutality against a different variety of individuals. Racism is something that we must come together to stop so that the suffering it causes ceases.
And now I will read the second part. Taking small acts to spread the word of equality throughout your community can save someone's life. Today, social media is an excellent way to speak out against racism, and it gives you a chance to make a difference. Everyone has the opportunity to go from silence to action about any issue affecting and racism is only one example. So go out and do your part to make an impact to stop this issue. And it's by Venus, Felix, and Tamarzer.
Thank you so much, Tomo and Venus. Jonathan, you are next.
Okay. Do I just say my artist statement? Sorry.
Yes, you can introduce yourself and go ahead and read your statement.
Okay, I'm Jonathan. This is my artist statement. This drawing depicts specific imagery and details that is meant to spark conversation with the viewer. The main details I wanted to draw attention to were the factories and oil mines that the polar bear is walking through in his own habitat. This drawing was made to bring awareness to climate change, and you can see how it relates to it, from the smoke coming to the sky and the difference in color between the polar bear and the factories. The polar bear is blue while everything else around him is black, lifeless, and full of destruction. So it shows how, for example, like I made the oil factories and like the smoke and the snow, because from, like I said it before, I think, but the smoke coming up from the sky, from the factory, changes the snow black. So that's why I made that's why I made the snow that color. And the factories and the oil mines, they're also black because they ruin the environment in the area the polar bear lives in.
Thank you so much, Jonathan, for sharing your piece. Arlie, you're up.
Hello, my name is Arlie Kuzimbo and I'm from Lennox Middle School. And my topic is about racism and women's rights. I wanted to bring this topic up because how people from different race and women's are treated unfair, and both need to be treated the same as others. And so my pictures, they all show how some women had to do stuff on their own and tried to show that women needed to be treated the same as the people from different races. And and I chose this topic because many people out there from different ethnicities or women don't get treated the same as others, and I feel like it's important to talk about this topic to educate people about others. People should not stay quiet, and they should speak out about it, about discrimination and unfairness, to stop the inequality. It is my hope to spread love and peace to the world.
Thank you so much for sharing, Arlie. Valeria.
Hi, my name is Valeria Gomez. I'm an 8th grader and I go to Lennox Middle School. And this is my project. My topic for Zine was immigration and refugee issues. I wrote a poem for my project. My topic connects to what I learned from the Holocaust for a few reasons. Immigration and the Holocaust have brought so many issues and suffering towards people by the acts of discrimination. So many people have lost their homes, their families, their own lives because of these two. So many have had to risk their lives and make sacrifices for their own futures. That is why for me it is such a meaningful thing to learn about, since I can relate to all of those who have fought and are still fighting for braveness, forgiveness, freedom, and most importantly, love and for their families. So thank you for everyone in Zine for teaching me more about all the brave survivors, all the stories, all the people. I'll be reading my poem called Strangers. Strangers, the children who are kept in cages are the ones who no longer remember their mother's faces. Strangers, goodbye to her husband, the father of her kids. Strangers, for they did not choose to leave their memories, they chose to not forget. Strangers, the land of the great, the land of the free. Strangers, the culture that we bring, the culture that is changed, do not pick or choose, for it should be accepted and not shamed. Strangers, the blisters in her papa's hands, the ones like mountains, deserts, rougher than this rocky land. Strangers, be careful how you speak, be careful how you follow rules, 1, 2, and repeat. Strangers, they were all afraid, afraid of what they would lose or what they would gain, never sure of the future's pain. Strangers, the learning of a new language, the culture disadvantage. Strangers, the activism, but then there comes the racism. Strangers, they have come so far and traveled wide, they have left so many things behind. Strangers, we are not aliens but unique, for if we were all the same, strangers we would all still be.
Thank you so much for sharing, Valeria. Diana and Leia, your piece is up next. I wanted you to know the first page is your artist statement, and the second one is both of your written work, okay?
That's okay. I'm Leia from Milken Community School, and my partner is Diana from Lennox Middle School. And my topic is based on gender stereotypes and self-expression. This is because I felt it was really important to address how certain stereotypes can rob people of opportunities, expression, and even basic rights. Humans should be allowed to express themselves no matter what and be their own individual while not having to hide who they are and have their rights taken away because they don't fit another person's image. My topic connects to what I learned from the Holocaust because similar to how gender stereotypes limit people from being their own authentic selves and restricts them from opportunities, Hitler had an image for his people and Germany, and those ideals were really extreme and caused mass genocide. Hitler's views were filled with intolerance and hatred, and they were ones that emphasized that there was only one pure Aryan race, and he played off of stereotypes and manipulation that denied people rights and so much more.
Hi, my name is Ayanara Diaz, and my what I'm doing is LGBTQ rights and body shaming. My artist statement of what I did is what I did with my college side was I created an artwork to demonstrate my chosen subject, which is LGBTQ plus rights and the need to end body shaming. In these artworks I made, I tried to show that having any type of body is ideal, and whatever pride you are, you should be treated with respect rather than treated as an animal.
So here's the second page of your work. Dayanara or Leah, would you like to go ahead and read some of the written work that you did?
So my portion includes some two activists that have fought for gender expression, LGBTQ rights, and also education, particularly for females. And it also includes a picture of a man in not the most masculine clothing, and he is on a runway, and it is supposed to show how men don't have to be confined to only wear masculine clothing and are allowed to express themselves however they would like.
Dayanara, did you want to add anything for this page?
Yes. This was my drawings was supposed to be a representation of for the LGBTQ people of fighting for like their rights and for the awareness of their mistreatment. The apps that like the media that I used to create my drawing was Fire Alpaca, and the background and everything was with Figma. What like inspired me to make this type of piece and drawing is because I've seen that LGBTQ people are always treated badly, like if they're not human as animals. So I drew them as human because they are human and spreading like they need rights. And for body shaming, I did the drawing like that to show that every type of body should be good, that is perfect.
Thank you so much, both of you, for sharing your work. Stephanie, you are next. Is Stephanie here? Are we missing her?
I believe we need to.
Okay. So I'll read Stephanie's poetry piece. She. Not meeting the standards. If someone is heavier, society calls them a pig. If someone is thinner than others, they are called twigs. Why can't she meet the standards? Her body cries. Feels like she's not enough for society. How can she be enough for society? Does she have to be thin? How can she be enough? She asks herself, why? Why doesn't she look like them, models? She stares into the mirror. Maybe they are right. She chooses to hide, doesn't want to fight. She's insecure. She feels she shouldn't take pictures, believes she shouldn't. Go out. Her hair covers her face. The clothes she wears covers her body. She's vulnerable. Written by Stephanie Gonzalez. And I'm sorry that Stephanie couldn't be with us today. So, Kenya and Mira, you are next.
Hello, everyone. My name is Kenya Lara from Lenox Middle School. For my portion of this collage, I made two smaller collages to represent the issues of women's rights, and I used pictures of the original 1913 Women's March in Washington, D.C., and photos from the Holocaust in Germany. I can't remember exactly when I first started becoming so passionate about topics of injustice and inequality in the world. I feel as if I've always cared about equality and intolerance.
Hi, my name is Mira Farkas from Milken Community School. My topics are women's rights, anti-Semitism, homelessness, LGBTQ+ rights, and racism. My partner Kenya and I split the topics, and we each did separate collages for them. In the end, we combined them to make one final piece. I did women's rights, anti-Semitism, and homelessness. These topics connect to what I've learned about the Holocaust because they are all forms of intolerance and inequality. Here's my artist statement. For my portion of this collage, I made 2 other smaller pieces to represent the issues of women's rights and anti-Semitism. I used pictures of the original 1913 Women's March in Washington, D.C., and photos from the Holocaust Museum in Germany. I can't remember exactly when I first started becoming so passionate about topics of injustice and inequality in the world, but I feel as if I've always cared about equality and intolerance. I remember that in January of 2017, my mother and I took the subway to march in the Women's March. As we got on and off, people cheered because we were all fighting for the same rights and against the same inequity. Experiencing the rally, the feeling of solidarity, and the potential for change inspired me. Since then, I have cared more passionately about women's rights. Throughout these last few years, I've learned quite a lot about the Holocaust and anti-Semitism. I am also Jewish myself, so I have had some firsthand experiences of having to hide my religion. An example of this is when we go to restaurants. My family keeps kosher, so we can't have the meat most of the time. Sometimes we have to say we're all vegetarians, so we don't have to explain our entire religion. I also know some people, some of which are my friends, who are part of the LGBTQ+ community. I want to fight to make sure that they feel welcome in the world and they don't have to hide. Also, because of these past events, I have cared about racism more than ever before. My father works to get homes for the homeless, and I have helped give food to those who don't have any. I don't know why, but whenever I hand someone their food and they smile back, I get the most amazing feeling in the world knowing I helped someone and they were grateful for it. I've always wanted to help people who don't have homes. I think I've felt that way for longer than I realized. For the actual topic of the piece, it kind of just popped into my head. When I discussed these topics with my partner, Kenya, we realized that homeless teens in particular experience all of these types of intolerances, and in some cases, more harshly than others. Through our collage, I want to try to send the message that because of inequality and intolerance, some people are kicked out of their homes, which can eventually lead to homelessness. In the future, I hope that people will understand more about these topics and how all of these groups of people have been oppressed for a very long time. I use pictures to represent these hopes from many years ago, as well as pictures from the present day.
Thank you so much, Mira and Kenya. Magali.
Hello, my name is Magali Perez. I go to LMS, and my topic is eating disorders, specifically restrictive eating disorders. My piece is a girl being wrapped with a paper measuring tape. The top of the drawing has a little bubble of thoughts that you can't really see, which is why I named the piece Vague. I didn't use much contrast in this piece so that I'd be able to create that effect. I used a digital art program called Procreate to create this piece. I was influenced by many people's experiences with an eating disorder, including my own. This drawing represents the feeling of being silenced by your eating disorder as well as the obsession that it can become. Obsession with calories, food, and or their or your own body. The fact that you can't really see what is happening in her head represents that you will never be able to fully understand how someone with an eating disorder thinks. You can only have an idea of what they may think. My hopes for the future is that we will finally all realize as a society that the media contains unrealistic body standards to help people understand that an eating disorder is not healthy for your body or mental health, and to help anyone recover. For my next piece, I named it Tide, and in the background there are continuous demeaning words that are often used to make yourself feel unworthy. Then there are 2 or more visible words they are foods and calories. Those 2 words have strings that are tied to the girl, hence the title. My inspiration to create this piece was someone on social media. She had come forward stating that she was struggling with bulimia. I didn't want this drawing to look like it was only for a specific disorder, but a more inclusive art piece, something that is not all, but most can relate to. This drawing is a subtle representation of having an eating disorder while looking healthy. The girl that gave me the inspiration to create this drawing looked very healthy. You would never think that she had an eating disorder, but surely enough, she had been suffering with bulimia for a while now and was hospitalized because of it. Anyone can have an eating disorder even if they look fine or healthy. Another meaning is how an eating disorder can control you, your thoughts, movements, moods, etc., just like a puppet. I wanted people to finally understand that developing an eating disorder is not fun. You can feel tired mentally and physically. Additionally, I want people to understand that anyone can develop or have an eating disorder. Every body, race, gender, but just as much as they can develop one, they can recover from one.
You have a few more of them. You have your written work here, Magali.
Truth and glorification of an eating disorder. Pro-Ana sites. These problematic websites often contain unhealthy diet tips, photos, personal stories, negative body positivity, and memes to encourage people to starve themselves. They are promoting anorexia, bulimia, and or restrictive behaviors. Social media has a place where some people promote behaviors that can lead to severe health risk. The media has allowed this community to still be active after all this time. Even after a lot of complications with them, the health industry alone makes billions every year from constantly telling us with ads and sponsorships that the way we look is not good enough unless we use their product. This could definitely push people down the path with obsession with calories, exercise, or get in a restrict binge cycle. The health risks of eating disorders, bulimia health risks are heart problems, dehydration, loss of potassium, tooth decay caused by the stomach from frequently vomiting, fatigue, organ failure or organ damage, digestive irregularities, infertility, which is not being able to be pregnant and have children, or death. Anorexia health risks include kidney and liver damage, osteoporosis, which is the loss of bone, insomnia, which is trouble sleeping, anemia, infertility, cardiac arrest, and death. Binge eating disorders cause weight gain, obesity, high blood pressure, heart disease, type 2 diabetes, emotional and mental distress. Yes, eating a little can be extremely rude to your body, but so is overeating. A lot of us still eat after satiation, but it doesn't happen all the time. It becomes a problem when it happens every day and you're not listening to your hunger cues as well as your emotional cues. Misconceptions of an eating disorder. A frequent misconception of an eating disorder is that they are a choice when they are not a choice. I didn't choose to have an eating disorder. No one chose to have an eating disorder. It's not a lifestyle. It's not something you want to happen to yourself. They are not a choice. They are not a set of behaviors gone wrong. They are a mental illness and they deserve to be treated just like any other mental illness does. Another misconception about an ED is how often people believe that you can always tell that someone has an eating disorder when in fact you can't, because you actually have to have a conversation with someone to actually understand what they have gone through or are still going through. People say that once you develop an eating disorder, you will always have it and you will never recover. But despite what people say, you can fully recover, and the idea that you will forever have your eating disorder is completely wrong, and you should never believe that. My topic kind of connects with the Holocaust, because in the Holocaust, those people were put through mental and physical distress, as well as being forcefully starved. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Magali, for sharing that. Our last piece today is Ronya's piece.
Hi, my name is Ronya Diller Picard, and I chose learning disabilities because I have dyslexia and visual processing disorder. I also have ADD and OCD, which aren't considered learning disabilities, but they do affect my learning in some ways. I chose the cracked walls because it reminds me of how broken it was when I couldn't read. Now, since I've gotten older, I've come to the realization that my dyslexia isn't a curse. It's a blessing because I'm the person that I am today because of it. I am who I am not because of my dyslexia, but because of how I learned to deal with it and move on. My strength to move on didn't come from someone giving it to me. It came from my willingness to embrace myself. This connects to what I've learned from the Holocaust because some people have an intolerance for learning disabilities. Others bully because they don't understand why some people can't do the things that come easy to them. If you deny your disability, you can't do anything about it. If you harness it, you are open to all the talents that you have. So the first one is called Help. It's about it's in the perspective of my younger self, like trying to ask for help. Okay. I feel so useless, not sure what to say, trying to find my way out of this embarrassing pit. I just want to hide because I'm the only one who can't do this. Physically, I'm the same. Mentally, I can't do all the things you can do, but I want to. I try my hardest to do it, but it just doesn't make sense. I'm confused. Why was I born this way? I get a different view of myself. I get depressed because I can't. Why can't I just do it? I look at a word. I don't know what to do. I'm supposed to read it, but I just can't find the right words to say. I don't know how. I'm trying to do the work, but it doesn't make sense. I don't know what's wrong with me. I just want to be like all the rest. I just want to speak my mind to find the right words to say help. Then my other one is called Memories. It's about going back to school that I went to and all these memories of when I couldn't read just come flying back. Memories. Walking in, many faces staring within, many memories come flying back, trying to push them way back out of my mind, not wanting to remember the pain that I had inside. This place where my childhood memories lay trapped beneath the boards, ready to crack when I was younger, not ready to comprehend the difference there was between me and them.
Thank you so much for sharing, Ronya. That concludes the student zine, but I'd like to invite all of our participants that are with us today, if you'd like to type something in the Q&A, if you have any questions for anybody, I welcome you to please ask them in the Q&A. And thank you so much, students, for all of your dedication, hard work. I know that each and every one of you dedicated your personal time to this project, and I just think that it's really amazing what you were able to do, and I'm just really honored that I got to work with you and meet you all. I don't see any questions in our Q&A. I'm going to give it like another 30 seconds, see if anything pops up. And then I'd like to just open it up. Siri, I know that you wanted to mention something to students as well.
I was also hoping, sorry, I've got other people in the room who are not muted. I was also hoping that Kenya might share a little bit more about her specific part of the collage, just because if she did, I heard about Mara's and I was hoping to hear the other piece of that.
Absolutely. I can actually go back in and pull it up for her too. 1 second. Oops. There you go, Kenya. Sorry about that.
Okay, yeah, sorry, I read the wrong one. In this collage, I gathered some photos of Black Lives Matter, LGBTQ, and homelessness. These photos show some communities that are treated unfairly. I think that all people should be treated the same no matter the skin color, sexual orientation, or living conditions. People should not be treated like objects or judged for being themselves. My hope for the future is for all people to be treated fairly and to be accepted as they are.
Thank you, Kenya. All right. I just wanted all the students to know that David Meyerhoff, who worked with you and talked about poetry with you, just wanted to say it was such a pleasure to hear your work. So I just wanted to let students know that David wanted to share that with you. And then, yeah, Suri, I don't know if you wanted to add anything. I know you wanted to share a little bit about just, being honored to work with students. And then Jordana, I just wanted to open it up to you if you have any final closing thoughts.
I just wanted to say thank you to all of the students who were engaged in this particular project. I loved the fact that we were able to learn together, and I'm really, really blown away and impressed by the level of artistic talent and the level of thought and depth that went into this, and the level of empathy that I see being developed in these young people. So thank you for participating in that. And thank you for giving us the opportunity to work with you.
Just before Jordana or Maria, I just didn't get a chance to thank you and Suri personally because we could not have done this without both of you and your hard work and dedication. So I'm also really honored I got to meet you both and work with you, and I hope we get to work together again in the future.
I just want to echo everything. Oh, Maria, you have your hand up.
Oh, thanks, Jordana. I also wanted to thank the students. It really was a pleasure being a part of this with them and to see their creativity and their thoughts. And just to remind them, this is a great example of words matter. We hear that a lot, and sometimes we think of it only in the negative sense. Words can be used to harm, and we see that, right, when we study and talk about the Holocaust, to stereotype, to saw that with the students' presentations today. And I hope that they carry that on forever, that there is power in what they have to say.
I just wanted to echo everything everyone said. I'm blown away by the amount of work and thought and reflection that all of the students had. And I look forward to living in the world where you guys are our leaders, because I think it would be a really great one to be in. And I hope that we can all stay connected as we enter the end of the school year. And I speak, I think, for everyone at the institution and the museum when I just say thank you so much for giving this your dedication, your care, your thoughtfulness, and really holding this heavy material with a level of maturity beyond your years and really thinking critically about the social relevancy. Thank you guys so much for doing this and for being a part of this program.
Thank you, Jordana, and thank you everybody for being here. Take care.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.
Everyone.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you. Take care.